Hey guys! Tonight we're going to be talking about the best practices for avoiding a power outage in your business. Nobody likes it when the power goes out, right? Okay, it disrupts about everything when the power goes out. And can leave you kind of feeling stuck, a bit frustrated, overwhelmed. Okay, you don't know what the heck is going on. And you feel like everything literally and figuratively is just off. Okay, nothing is working and you have a million things that you need to do. And you find yourself wishing for a backup generator.
Have you ever been there? Because I know that when we get really busy and we've had a couple power outages over the last, couple years, when that happens, it totally throws us off our game.
Yep.
But we're talking a little bit more, not just about a power outage, but a power outage in your business.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm curious, how can you actually keep the lights on in your business when life happens? When things go sideways and things just come up out of the blue that you weren't aware of, how do you really keep your business going despite what's going on in your whirlwind of a life?
Yep.
Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, are the non-negotiables, okay? When setbacks happen.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the biggest things is when setbacks and things happen, you got to ask yourself, what are those non-negotiables, okay? Because setbacks will and they do happen, you guys.
Yeah.
So when they do, you got to ask yourself, what are those front-facing activities?
Okay, so that is it. Front-facing activities. When you are hit with life, okay, the number one most important things to keep going are the things that are facing your audience. Okay, so anywhere your audience may see you, that can be on your social media profiles.
Yeah.
Okay, if you've got an email list, it could be sending out those emails. Okay, emails, posts, stories, those are really your front-facing activities where people can see you.
Yes.
This is where you can get new eyeballs into your business. This is where you have an opportunity to make an impact in somebody else's life.
Yep.
Okay, and so oftentimes the question is asked, well, crap, life has happened and I just don't have the time. This was a really big thing that happened the beginning of last year for so many people.
Yep.
COVID hit, all of a sudden, people who had jobs away from home were coming home and having to work. Homeschooling happened. I know that we were homeschooling our girls on top of building a business. Okay? And there was a lot of things that we had to adapt to. Yep. We kind of got our feet underneath us and handled that. And then we were hit with another life event where we lost our girls. Okay. And so we went through a lot of grief and a lot of changes, and it's something we're still working through.
Yep.
And so we've been asked often, like, after the accident happened, what happened to your business? And, truthfully, we had a framework put in place that allowed us to continue moving forward and had things happening in our business without us having to do anything with it. Okay.
It's a great thing about leverageable systems and automation, right?
Yes.
It's great. But here's the thing. I mean, maybe before things went sideways, before the power went out, okay, you had a certain frequency that you were doing. You were doing your emails, you were doing your posts, you were doing those lives, whatever that forward-facing activity was, you had a certain frequency that you were doing it, right?
Yes.
One that you were being consistent with. Maybe it was, let's say, for instance, doing your Facebook Live 5 days a week. Like we were, okay? We were doing our Facebook Live 5 days a week, okay? And now that the power's gone out and you're having to kind of re-get started, you're looking for that generator, so to speak, to get things started, now you need to kind of maybe take a look at it and go, okay, well, is 5 Facebook Lives a week reasonable?
And for us, you guys, 5 Facebook Lives a week was not reasonable with what we were dealing with.
Yep.
So when we started collaborating and talking about, okay, there's certain pieces that we still need to keep in motion here. We had gotten ahead, and this is actually pro tip I'll share with you, number 2 in a minute, of how you can actually kind of create your own personal generator in your own business. Some things, pro tips that we were able to do that really helped us right after the power went out in our business and our world, and also how you can use and leverage these for yourself. Okay, because there's times that the kids get sick, or there's an accident, or things don't happen at work the way that you thought that they were going to. Okay, there's a lot of things that can happen, especially with the climate that we're in right now. We're seeing a lot. So we wanted to share with you what it is you can do to keep the lights on in your business. Okay, so be reasonable about what's realistic based on your circumstances. As Tim mentioned, if you were doing 5 Facebook Lives a week and that's not reasonable based on your time, how many can you do?
Yeah, exactly. Some is always better than none, okay? It's keeping the lights on, okay? Maybe you just have to take it from 5 Facebook Lives a week down to 2 or 3 or whatever's reasonable for the situation that you're dealing with. Okay. And just really taking that close look at your business and saying, okay, I was doing this, that's not reasonable right now, cutting it back to what is reasonable for you, to just keep those lights on, to keep those things out there so that your audience is still seeing you. You can always pick it up in the future again, back up to those 5 lives or more posts or whatever that activity is that you were doing before. You can always go back to picking up more, but just don't stop. That's the key thing.
Okay. So we want to share with you a couple pro tips. Tip number 1, okay? Life's happened, things have gone sideways, you're scrambling, you're feeling like things are just not working in your business the way that you hoped they would, and you're feeling like all the hard work that you might have done is going down the drain, okay? Trust us, we can appreciate where you're coming from if you felt that way.
Yes.
And if you want to guard against that, you're like, man, I don't ever want to feel that way. These tips are going to help you build in some really practical and actionable things into your business, into your DMO, okay? So that you can continue to leverage yourself and move forward regardless of what you're hit with in life, okay? Pro tip number 1 is to consider things that you might have already created.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you might pull from, like an awesome training that you've done, a really impactful post that was shared multiple times? Okay. Something that was valuable to your audience. It can be something you did 3 or 4 months ago. Okay. And you can repurpose it. This is so valuable and huge because you guys, I don't know if you're aware or not, but people don't usually remember anything that they've seen past
about 90 days.
90 days.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you go back, if you've been doing this for more than 3 to 4 months, okay, you can go back to content that you may have put on your page or you've done that 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and you can actually, I suggest not copying it exactly and posting it, just reposting it again, but you can take the idea of that post or that live or that email, okay, the overarching theme of it and repurpose it a little bit, change the text a little bit, add a little bit different picture to it, and then repost it. Just spruce it up, make it relevant to today, add a different picture or something to it to make it look unique and different. But it's still the same content, just repurposed.
And the cool thing about that is you probably have already got a response from people on the value that they got from it. And if you're growing your audience, you're going to have new people seeing your page anyway. So people that were on your page 30, 60, 90 days ago may or may not be the same ones that are on it today.
Exactly.
But you're also getting new eyeballs, okay? You're wanting new people. So pro tip number 1 is to consider what your overall arching theme is and go back and take a look at your most rockin' posts, okay, the Facebook Lives that got the most interaction, the emails that got the highest open rate, and pull from stuff that you've already done and just share your new insight that you had on it today. It's a great way to leverage what you've already done, make it new and fresh, but also saves on the brain power and time when you are dealing with life.
Not to mention, most people learn with repetition, right? So repetition. How many times have you read a book and pulled something different out of that book, even though you've read it before? You're reading it again and you're pulling new information out of it, okay? Repetition is the way that we learn. And again, it's just a great way to repurpose the stuff you've used.
Okay, so pro tip number 2, you guys. This is really, really cool. This is what saved our bacon in the beginning of last year, okay, when life went sideways in a big way, is create a minimum of a week of content in advance.
Yes.
Okay, so having planning sessions, actually creating that content, having it themed or stored however works for you, keeping it in a folder somewhere where you have quick access to it so that you can just pop it in if you're the type of person that likes to do it live in the moment. Or Facebook, actually, the Creator Studio allows you to pre-schedule your posts and videos in advance, not only on Facebook, okay, for the business page. This is for business pages only, but also to a connected Instagram profile. So you have the ability to go in, spend some quality time making quality content, and then you can actually schedule it in advance using Facebook's Creator Studio program, which is very powerful as well. We had a framework in place where we had content going out, emails scheduled out, because we had thought through our customer journey and what we wanted people to see. And so we were able to go months without having things really fall through in our business because we had spent the time to actually put things in play to start with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that is pro tip number 2 is make a plan for yourself to stay ahead.
Yep.
Okay. You can definitely have I want to post in the moment. That's great. Fantastic for stories, but keeping the lights on your business. Okay. Sometimes you want more leverage with less brain power. Tip 1 and 2 will really help you with that and help you keep the lights on. help keep you on track even when you're dealing with things that are outside your control in the moment, until you're ready to really dive back in, dialed in with full bore.
Yep.
Okay.
You guys, if you haven't already, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming trainings that we do. Okay, we appreciate you guys being with us, and hope you have a great rest of